The image of a holy cross often evokes peace and piety, but in the hands of the Russian Orthodox Church it has become a tool for a different kind of mission.
To understand the essence of Russian imperialism, one must grasp a simple fact. For over 300 years, this organization has been a structural unit of Russian intelligence, faithfully serving the totalitarian regime in all its forms, from the Russian Emperor to the General Secretary of the Soviet Union, and to Putin, the leader of the terrorist Chekist regime in present-day Russia. Brief background. In the mid-17th century, Russian Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich subjugated the church under his control. From then, all appointments in the church required the Tsar's approval. His successor, Peter the Great, deemed this control insufficient. He established the Holy Synod, appointing the church's leader by personal decree. Thus, the Russian Church became a part of the state apparatus, with priests tasked with informing unfaithful citizens, confessing anti-state sentiments during confession. Monasteries in the far north were turned into dreadful prisons for dangerous revolutionaries, like the notorious Solovetsky Monastery. With the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, the church and priests became targets seen as the servants of the Tsarist regime. After 2 decades of persecution, Stalin, facing Hitler's invasion, decided to restore the church in 1943 to boost the morale of the population, which did not want to die for the dreadful power of the communists. This restoration, approved by Stalin himself, led to the church being dubbed as a Red Patriarchate. Imagine Stalin ordering to restore the church after eliminating tens of thousands of Christian priests and their families.
The relationship between the church and Soviet intelligence stretches back decades. This organization operated as a KGB unit, with priests requiring approval from the local Communist Party representatives and the KGB. Fact is, every prominent priest in this organization was a KGB agent, reporting non-believers, showing the church's collaboration with one of history's most repressive agencies. Such agents provided valuable intelligence on religious communities, dissident movements, and even foreign governments. In return, the state offered the church protection and financial support, turning it into a powerful tool for social control. Documents declassified after the fall of the Soviet Union reveal the extent of this symbiosis between KGB and its subdivision, codenamed Church, with names, codes, and reports detailing the church's role in the KGB's network. Sources like Mitrokhin Archive by a KGB defector provide concrete evidence of this collaboration. It details how the church helped the KGB monitor and control religious activity, suppress dissent, and even recruit spies among the clergy. These historical ties raise serious questions about the church's independence and its ability to serve as a genuine moral authority. Despite the Soviet regime's collapse in 1991, Russian patriarchs continued serving the government. The war in Ukraine has further exposed the church's alignment with the Kremlin's agenda. Patriarch Kirill, the head of the Russian Church, has repeatedly justified the invasion as a holy war against the West, echoing Putin's rhetoric of defending traditional values against the so-called Western decadence, and blessing the war and murder. It's a usual thing for the Russian patriarch to bless weapons used to kill the Ukrainian citizens. Reports detail priests delivering sermons condemning Ukraine and urging support for the Russian military. This active participation in the war effort raises serious concerns about the Church's commitment to peace and its role in stoking hatred towards the West. Sermons and religious broadcasts, not only in Russia but also in Ukraine, promote narratives of Russian exceptionalism and demonize Western values. This constant barrage of propaganda reinforces a sense of us versus them, blurring the lines between religious faith and political manipulation.
Imagine the unthinkable. The smoldering ruins of the Twin Towers still cast their acrid shadow over the New York City, the nation reeling from the deadliest terrorist attack in its history. Now picture this. A prominent Al-Qaeda terrorist wanted for his role in the carnage finds refuge not in some remote cave in Afghanistan, but in the heart of Manhattan. Unbelievable? That's precisely the scenario that unfolded in Kyiv, Ukraine, in April 2018, when Rafael Lusvargi, a Brazilian mercenary and self-proclaimed soldier of Russia, was discovered residing in Svyatopokrovsk Church, a historic landmark in the Ukrainian capital. A convicted drug trafficker in his native Brazil, he had served stints in the French Foreign Legion, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, and even the Brazilian military police before finding his way to the war-torn Donbass region, fighting alongside the hybrid Russian army. And it's here in the Svyatopokrovsk monastery the notorious mercenary decided to reside, hiding in the plain sight in the heart of Kyiv, a dangerous suspect who fought against Kyiv and promised to raze it to the ground, found shelter in the Ukrainian capital, in a church known for its pro-Russian stance. In 2018, the Ukrainian citizens, tired of Russian interference and threat of terrorism, apprehended Lusvargi, and a year later he was exchanged for the Ukrainian prisoners. His story exposed the dark underbelly of the Russian church in Ukraine, where the holy asylum became a breeding ground for nefarious activities, where the lines between sanctuary and complicity blurred beyond recognition. The Church's historical collaboration with the KGB, its present-day role in promoting war propaganda in both Ukrainian and Russian society, and the deviation from core Christian principles raise serious questions about its moral authority and its ability to represent the values of genuine faith. But it doesn't just end here.
According to the declassified documents revealed by Swiss government, the Russian Patriarch Kirill, who lived and worked in Switzerland in 1970s, was sent by the KGB to influence the Swiss Federal Council into denouncing the United States and its allies. Using the code name Mikhailov, Kirill collaborated with the KGB, which was also confirmed by his son, Mikhail Gundyaev. Nowadays, the Russian Patriarch Kirill is known for supporting the Russian invasion and blessing the weapons killing the Ukrainian citizens and civilians. Promoting conservative family values, the Russian Orthodox Church grows its popularity in the United States. Considering this organization ties to the Russian FSB, this raises serious concerns. According to the FBI, nearly 2,300 parishes in the United States could be coerced to participate in intelligence operations via blackmail. According to Russia's independent journalist Andrei Soldatov, the Russian Orthodox Church collaborates with the Russian secret agencies not only by providing ideological ammunition for the war, but also by direct cooperation, according to a church memorandum of 2009 on cooperation with the Russian security agencies.
Multiple academic studies and journalist investigations were made over the years to shed the light on this problem. The Russian Orthodox Church, Faith, Power and Conquest, 2019. This study examines the historical and contemporary relationship between the Russian Orthodox Church and the Russian government, and the Church's role in Russia's armed forces and its hybrid wars. Russian malign influence in Montenegro, the weaponization and exploitation of history, religion and economics, by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, 2019. This report explores the expansion of the Russia's influence in the Balkans through the exploitation of Orthodox faith, pan-Slavic identity and economics. Also worth mentioning are the reports published by the International Center for Counterterrorism and unclassified assessments by the US intelligence community that have warned about the potential for Russian intelligence to exploit religious organizations in the USA for espionage and influence operations.
Based on the studies and investigations, it's possible to outline the scope of hybrid operations that the representatives of the Russian Orthodox Church have been involved in on the international scale. Such operations pursue the following tasks. Religious communities can provide valuable insights into a given society, for example, in the Baltic countries or the US, research political sentiment and potential targets for recruitment. The church can be used to spread pro-Kremlin propaganda and sow discord within the targeted countries. Religious leaders or clergy can be used to covertly gather intelligence or provide logistical support to the FSB operations. Such activities may include money laundering and covert communications. In a wartime country such as Ukraine, these activities clearly pursue military goals, since the hybrid warfare itself involves all kinds of political, economical, social and religious measures with only one purpose: reaching strategic military goals. But on a larger scale, considering the supremacist Russian rhetorics, such activities pose a threat to the national security of the Western countries and can be used to benefit the Russian geopolitical ambitions. For example, building the foundation for a possible invasion of the West, often mentioned by the Russian opinion makers like Dugin, Prilepin, Solovyov and Medvedev.
This famous photo portrays the Russian priests blessing the nuclear ICBM, often referred to as Saturn. This distorted version of religion not only fuels internal division but also serves as a potent tool in the Kremlin's hybrid warfare against democratic values. It serves as an example of how the hybrid warfare can distort reality, replacing the core of the Christian teaching with a blend of nationalism, militarism and intolerance. Some within the church have spoken out against the war in Ukraine. Their voices, though, are often silenced or marginalized or directly oppressed by the ruling terrorist Russian regime.
In June 2022, former Russian Orthodox priest Ioan Kurmayarov, who has condemned his country's invasion of Ukraine, was detained in St. Petersburg. With this arrest, the Russian regime sent a clear message to its clergy to comply with the Kremlin's agenda.
The Russian Orthodox Church's entanglement with the Russian state paints a troubling picture. Its role in promoting war, stoking hate and undermining religious freedom cannot be ignored. By exposing this unholy alliance, we can shed the light on the mechanisms of disinformation and manipulation employed by the Kremlin in its hybrid warfare against democracy. While the full extent of the FSB infiltration within the European and American religious organizations remains unclear, the available evidence suggests a concerning trend. Continued research, monitoring and collaboration are crucial to mitigate the potential risks associated with this form of influence operations. In the meantime, our institute will continue its research in order to fully understand the scope and nature of potential FSB infiltration efforts and develop effective countermeasures to protect democracy.